We're starting off day 11, which is the beginning of week 3. And of course, it's raining. I would have loved to have talked to you guys more today, but it has been raining non-stop. And we are completely filthy. We managed to make it till 2:30 today. The storm is just starting to roll in. The winds are picking up. We put down some fabric and our tarps to try and preserve as much of our work site as possible. Day 4 is going to be an action-packed day. We actually have water trucks showing up, which means the pond is getting filled, or at least mostly filled today. Drew went ahead and dropped the hose inside the pond. We want to get at least a layer of water in there, so when we get that big hose from the water truck, it doesn't just stir everything up, because there is still sediment in the stone. You can't get every bit of it out. The more we can do to mitigate that from getting up in the water column, the cleaner it's going to stay. This is going to take several trucks of water. To give you an idea, one truck of water is about 7,000 gallons, so we've got a lot of water going into this pond. The waterfalls coming out of that wetland filter are going to be so cool. We're going to have water coming over this way, down this big drop here, and off to the side. The kids are going to love this whole space right here. Pond's looking super tight. That big rock, that big jump rock, we've got one here. Imagine when there's 7 feet of water in here jumping into the bottom there. And you got that big one over there. This rock is 10 feet across, lots of room here. I love this boulder on the backside for sitting. Our major project today is getting our secondary wetland filter in, which is the bigger wetland filter. We've got our excavation pretty much done. Right now the guys are just carving out for where our centipedes go down the middle, and then our snorkel unit goes down the end. That snorkel is providing us a clean out point. So essentially every year they can drop a pump inside there with a discharge hose, wash this whole thing down, and pump it out. Alan and the boys are laying out for where we're going to have the fire pit in the middle of that patio on top of the reservoir. So we just marked out the fire pit right here. It's just going to be kind of like just a boulder fire pit. Going to pour a concrete pad in the bottom just to keep the heat away from any of the aqua blocks. So it's just going to be boulders, and he's going to be able to burn in there, and it's just going to be a cool natural environment right here. And that's going to work perfectly with this whole boulder surround we got going on in this lower area here. Imagine when the flagging's done, going right up against these rocks. Cool places to sit on all these big boulders, and you got this fire pit here while you're taking in this beautiful waterfall that's coming down right in front of you. So day 9, this takes a small army to pull this off in this kind of time. We've got 10 guys on site here, and everybody has a job, and they're all executing it the way they're supposed to. And that's how we're pulling this all together in such a rapid fashion. Once this is all shaped up and we've done our fine tuning with the rakes, we're gonna get our rock pad in the wetland filter, followed by our liner, and then another layer of rock pad. Then we can go ahead and put this together, starting with those centipedes in the bottom, snorkel in the end. We've got a layer of aqua blocks. We've got 50 aqua blocks, small aqua blocks going in this. Oh, yeah. And then on top of that, we've got our graduations of rock and gravel, which finish off the wetland filter. And then up top, we do our boulder work, which kind of makes it all look like just a big pooling section coming off of those big waterfalls coming out of the pond. And we'll do some stepping stones through there. So a lot happening today. If we can get this accomplished, we might actually finish ahead of schedule here, which is amazing for a project this size. Let's get day 9 rolling. We're starting off day 11, which is the beginning of week 3, and of course it's raining. And we've got a major seam to do coming from the pond into our wetland. The boys are setting up the tent. Alan stopped and got another tent from Lowe's. We are going to completely cover this area and get this seam done. Besides that, we've got to finish up our rock work in the wetland. We've got waterfalls coming in here. There's a little bit of touch up left on our patio, and then we've got to button up this entire project. We managed to avoid the rain for like the first 2 weeks.
Listen, we both knew that this was going to happen.
We got lucky. I mean, we got
did.
the pond is done. Most of the work down the bottom is done. We've got to do a seam, which is probably like not the best scenario in the rain, but what we're going to do is set up tents. We got torches, we got heaters. We're going to start getting the liner prepped and getting the seam done. That's going to be first thing this morning, right?
Yeah, and the one thing is that's really the only critical spot we really have, because we can work in the rain for the rest of the stuff.
It's pretty critical. It's pretty critical.
No, but what I mean is it's the only thing that would really hold us up. The rest we can do in the rain.
Yeah, and I think we got maybe 3 or 4 days left on this project. We've got the majority of our work finished. We get that seam in, we can finish this waterfall, then it's just buttoning up this whole job, cleaning up the edges, and getting this place finished so we can fire this up and show it to Steve and Megan.
I can't wait for that, but I think we might have to do a mudslide here.
The pond liner is coming up out of here underneath this liner. This is the liner that goes down into our wetland filter, which is feeding waterfalls down here. We have to seam these two liners together. Now, in order to do that, we've got to find both edges, then we're going to dry everything off once the tents get set up over it. We've got a solvent seam happening here, which is going to have a double-sided seam tape tying the two liners together, and then we put a 6-inch cover tape over the entire seam, which should make it totally waterproof. Once that's done, we can get rolling on finishing up the waterfall that goes into this wetland. Alan and I set these steppers last week. That's going to traverse through the wetland. We're going to have about a foot of water in here. It's going to be a great play area for the kids, a cool transition spot, and it's going to make this whole water feature very interactive, because you've got to cross through here to make your way down to the patio. The guys did this patio last week. They've got a couple cuts left to finish over on this right side. Then we can fill in all these joints with a pea gravel. That's going to allow any rainwater that makes its way onto the patio to go down into the reservoir and charge our basin. Most of the bib liner is finished in this lower waterfall. Bolivar worked on that last week. That's where we put the liner on top of our gravel to make it so that it can actually pool up and come into these other areas. You can see this one is finished and they're just starting to cover it up with gravel. A little more gravel there and that's done. And these are already finished. We've got the entire crew here this week, including my son Anthony. So between the 11 of us, we're gonna get on this, knock it out, kick some serious butt, and show you guys what we came up with. I would have loved to have talked to you guys more today, but it has been raining non-stop, and we are completely filthy right now. Everybody's prepping for tomorrow because they are calling for up to 4 inches of rain, which is really going to make a mess of this place. But today, even with the weather, we were able to accomplish quite a bit. Our wetland filter is probably 75% done right now. We were able to finish all the main waterfalls. We've got a really nice cascade coming out from where the pond is. So that's gonna be a big drop right there. We've also got those drops that are going down the right side. From there, it's gonna split down into this waterfall here, which is actually gonna bounce off of that one as well. And then we're coming down kind of this little chicane right here where it's going back and forth and making its way into this big pooling area. These stepping stones are gonna look fantastic once the water is in this. Drew and Boley came down here and they finished up this lower patio. The patio is just amazing. I love the way this looks. All those really precise cuts just makes it look incredible. Drew even did the cut along the edge of the reservoir here with this whole slab on top, and it mirrored that wall that's holding everything up. Right now we're doing the wall that's inside. That actually mirrors that radius as well. And Drew's cutting the caps for that. That one is lower than the patio. Water's gonna come inside here, it's gonna pool up, and it's gonna pour over this wall into this section over here, and in that space, we're gonna be putting black Metalamat. That's gonna be our filter pad, which is gonna provide a great maintenance point where the homeowner can remove any debris that falls here. He can also pull those mats out and wash them. The reason we did the 2 walls is so we could fit that mat in there nice and neat, and it can go in and out without any problems. Working in wet weather always presents major challenges. Once the dirt turns to mud, it gets heavy. Everybody's feet are full of mud, just trudging around here all day long. It gets onto the liner, it makes it hard to do things, but everybody here powered through today, and we actually hit some of our goals that we wanted to hit on day 11 here. Probably the biggest accomplishment today was getting the seam done from the pond liner to our waterfall wetland liner. These guys did an awesome job working underneath the tarp to get this difficult seam done, but it is finished and they did a fantastic job with it. So even with the setback of the rain today, we were still able to hit the marks. I am worried about what tomorrow's gonna bring with this major rainstorm, but the way everything's getting covered up now with all the tarps, I think the site should be okay. It's just losing the time. We don't even know we can work tomorrow. I guess we're gonna find out in the morning. See you guys then. We heard some whipping winds all last night. Got up this morning. It's not really raining, but you know it's coming. It looks like our tarps stayed in place, so a decent amount of the site should be somewhat dry, or at least workable. The idea this morning is we're gonna pull those tarps back and try to finish some things up as long as the weather will let us. We're gonna get the tarp back on this tent, get this whole area dried off. This is the waterfall that feeds down to the reservoir. None of the rock work here is sealed up yet. So we've got to go through, add some more stone in these areas, and then we're gonna do our foaming. So we'll foam all this. We're gonna press some fabric into it, seal the whole backside of this up so that when the water builds up in the wetland, it doesn't just get lost behind the rock work. It actually builds up to the weir height, which are where the stones are feeding the waterfalls, and it goes over. Now we do have to be careful about how much of the site we open it up, because when the storm comes, we want to make sure that whatever we do open, we can quickly cover it back up so it doesn't wreck everything and set us back. Oh look, there's my coffee cup that I left here yesterday. I was looking for that this morning. We have really lucked out so far on this job. It's been over 2 weeks. Beautiful sunshine. Now we're getting the rain at the end, which is when I prefer to have it if we're gonna have it, because this is all clean up, button up work. If it was raining when we were digging this pond, it would have been a disaster and it would have set us back majorly. So we've worked in the rain before. Remember when we did Shaq's build?
Yeah, it was a little messy.
You can watch that right here. Shaq's build was a disaster the whole time. Like, it rained from start to finish. I was just talking about how if it rained when we were digging the pond, it would have been a complete disaster. But I think the fact that we're at the end here with buttoning things up, if it does rain, it's not going to kill us.
No, I don't think so either. I mean, it'll just be a little bit more cleanup, but we're pretty protected right now to be able to keep right on rolling. So we always make it through, even Shaq build. Let's see how much we can get done today and get us that much closer to finishing. We managed to make it till 2:30 today. The storm is just starting to roll in. The winds are picking up and we are closing things up. We put down some fabric and our tarps to try and preserve as much of our work site as possible. And we actually got a ton of work done today. A lot of going around and just closing things up. This wetland's been washed down several times and pumped out, so it's good to go. This waterfall is looking just fantastic. We've done our bib liners in here. The transition area from our pond to our waterfall is finished, and our wall coming from the pooling area into our Metalamat is all done. Now we have no idea what kind of rain we're in for this afternoon and tomorrow morning, but hopefully with all the things that we have accomplished today, it's not going to set us back very far. The only thing we could do now is head back, get up in the morning, and see what's possible. Hey Alan, are we going to work today? I'm not sure we're going to be able to today.